So if you've been keeping up with my Twitch streams, then what you're about to hear on this video is a bit different than what you heard the other day when I actually used the Celtics live. When I used them and we were playing against the Cavaliers, it was a very frustrating game because Al Horford kept getting blocked when he was wide open under the rim, but that had a little bit more to do with 2K's slow animations than it did Al Horford or the Celtics. As a matter of fact, the 2018 Celtics are actually the team that I have the best record with this year. And that's saying a lot because I've used plenty of teams for plenty of games. And that also says a lot because when you pick the Celtics, they are a current team and they're in the top tier of current teams, which means you almost always play against the Warriors. Now that is annoying because who wants to constantly be stuck trying to guard Steph Curry cheesers or Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson? Like, who wants to guard this team every time you play, right? But the Celtics, the 2018 Celtics in particular, are actually the best matchup in the game for the 2018 Warriors, and I'm gonna explain why. So the first thing we can talk about is how these teams actually match up, and one of the reasons the Celtics are the best team in the game to use against the Warriors is because in a way they mirror them. And what I mean by that is that each position on Boston is so versatile that really the only difference between them and the Warriors is the actual talent. So if you look at the Celtics starting lineup, since we're in the summertime and everybody is healthy, they have Kyrie Irving, Jalen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford. All 5 of those players have one thing in common: they can shoot, and they can shoot well. Everybody can knock down a 3-point shot, everybody can knock down a mid-range shot, so that automatically makes them a tough matchup for any team in the game because whenever you run pick and rolls or pick and pops in particular, they have to worry about both players. They have to worry about the guy with the ball actually shooting or going to the rim, and they have to worry about the guy setting the screen, rolling to the rim, or shooting. And that's very similar to what you have to worry about with the Warriors. If it's Curry and KD or if it's Curry and Draymond Green, no matter who it is, you have to worry about them being able to knock down a shot from anywhere. Everywhere except the center position, and that's what particularly makes the Celtics such a great matchup. And that's one thing that the Celtics can do that the Warriors really can't. So one of my favorite things to do is just a very basic pick and pop with Kyrie Irving and Al Horford. It works beautifully because it opens up the paint. If you just drive in there with Kyrie all game, you're prone to get blocked by Draymond Green or JaVale McGee, but if you drag JaVale McGee out, he has to stay out there and respect Al Horford. And most of the time they don't because they're worried about a Kyrie Irving drive. So one of the main ways I get points is simply setting the screen with Horford, driving hard to the rim with Kyrie, and when I notice that he's not going to commit to Horford because often they just leave him open like he can't really knock it down, I just pass it to him, and that's a free 3 points because Horford is a really good shooter for a big man. And that's really like a pick your poison thing for the defender because if they do commit to Al Horford, then you've got a one-on-one to the rim using Kyrie Irving against Steph Curry. And that leads right into the next point. Steph Curry is a defensive liability in this game. He's not a good on-ball defender, and Steph Curry is absolutely one of the best players in this game, creating his own shot off the dribble and getting to the rim. So that's a very big problem for who's ever using the Warriors because they cannot hide Steph Curry anywhere. They can't check Steph Curry out because they need his offense too much, so his liability on the defensive end, you can just exploit that all game. You can exploit it if he just tries to guard him straight up all game with Kyrie, or you can exploit it if he takes him off of Kyrie. And this is what I mean by you can't hide Steph Curry anywhere. So the problem is when they try to take him off of Kyrie, they put him on Jalen Brown. That's a big no-no. As a matter of fact, I have game footage where I pretty much won the game with Jalen Brown because he did not want Curry on Kyrie, so he put Curry on Brown, and I just put Curry in the post all game. I put Jalen Brown's back to the basket. He's way bigger than Steph Curry, so he can either get straight to the post and score, or what they'll try to do is they'll try to guard Jalen Brown with 2 people, which is unnecessary. Jalen Brown is a good player, but he should not be commanding a full-time double team. But he will be commanding a full-time double team if you have Curry on him in the post. So if that's the route they're going and they're committing a full-time double team, somebody else is open. And that goes back to every player on Boston being able to shoot. Who are you going to play off of? You can't play off of Tatum, you can't play off of Hayward, you definitely can't play off Kyrie, and even the one player, the center, which you should be able to play off of, you can't because Horford is a knockdown shooter. So normally what'll happen is the defender will have some good sense and they realize I'm just going to post Curry up pretty much the whole game, and when they notice that, they put Curry back on Kyrie and then I can just go to work with him. It's really a no-win situation on defense. You just gotta kind of survive if you're using the Warriors at that point. But the other way that Curry is a defensive liability here is that when you do pick and pops with anybody, so you have a couple people that can play power forward on this team. Gordon Hayward can do it if he has to, Tatum can do it, and then of course Horford can come in and do it, Morris can do it. But my point is, if you're doing that and he's switching the pick and rolls or the pick and pops, whatever you're running, if he's switching it, then Curry ends up on somebody way bigger than him. So I've had situations where instead of using Horford, I'll use Tatum in the pick and pop with Kyrie, and he'll just switch that instead. He'll let Draymond Green come out and guard Kyrie because he's sort of capable of that, but then that puts Steph Curry on Jason Tatum. Tatum is much bigger and he has plenty of ways to score. So in short, Steph Curry cannot guard anybody on the Boston Celtics team, and that's something that you can really exploit when you're playing against them. So now we move to the benches of these two teams, and this is where the Celtics really beat the Warriors, and this is where even if I'm down 10 because I had a slow quarter and he was going off with Curry, this is where I always come back, because people who are using the Warriors aren't paying attention to the fact that their bench lineup that comes in, the one that automatically subs in, is a space killer. And the last thing you think about when you're playing against the Warriors is them not having enough space, right? But when they bring the bench in, they'll be running some stupid lineup. They'll have Kevin Looney and Jordan Bell and Sean Livingston. They'll have all three of them on the floor at the same time. None of those players can shoot, so you can kill the space on the floor. He might have Zaza Pachulia on the floor with Jordan Bell or Kevin Looney, but Livingston is still going to be out there with them. So that limits the number of players on the floor with the Warriors that can score or that can actually shoot down to 2. So that allows you to roam on defense, and it makes it really easy for you to come back because that's where they struggle to score. And it's funny because this is just where you're playing against people who aren't paying any kind of attention. If I was using the Warriors, I would just simply make sure that the bench lineup is tuned to always have at least 3 or 4 people being able to shoot. And that's really easy because between Iguodala, Nick Young, and Patrick McCaw coming off the bench, you can run a bench lineup that has at least 3 or 4 shooters out there. You don't have to sub in all the big men or all the non-shooters at one time. But Warriors players aren't paying attention to that, and the reason that hurts them is because the Celtics bench is really good. Coming off the bench for Boston, you got Terry Rozier, you got Marcus Smart, and the reason that works so well is because normally you don't have to sub out your entire bench at one time. As a matter of fact, that's not even what the auto subs do. The way the auto sub for the Celtics works is that Gordon Hayward actually stays in with the bench, so now you're running some lineup of Rozier, Smart, Gordon Hayward, and whoever else. And that's good because normally when the game starts, this team has so many scorers on it that I'm not necessarily using all of them at one time. I'm just using them as decoys and I'm using them as threats. So one of the main things that'll happen is Gordon Hayward might not score in the first quarter, right? I might not go to him at all, I might not run a play for him, I may not use him at all. Normally I use a quick 4 horns flare with him to start the game, but as a main thing I'm not using him to handle the ball, he's just kind of floating around out there. And then once I'm done using Kyrie and Horford and whoever else, when they go sit, now I'm using Gordon Hayward almost exclusively, so it feels like he's coming off the bench. He's leading the second unit when he was really out there with the first unit, and he was out there as a threat because you could never leave him open or he's gonna knock it down. So those are some of the specifics about why the Celtics match up so well. Some other factors you have is that the Boston playbook is crazy. For Tatum, for Hayward, for Brown, whoever you need a play for, there is something really good in that playbook that's going to get them open. It's going to have them running around screens, and I can name some in particular. So there's one, I can't remember the exact name, but it has the word loop in it. There's another one, the double pin play. They have so many good plays that you can run for all of those players that if one player is cold, if Kyrie is cold for the game, then you can just go to Tatum and run some plays for him. And that works beautifully because one of the things that'll happen sometimes is I only have probably like 4 or 6 points with Kyrie Irving coming into the fourth quarter. I won't use him all game. I'm using everyone else on the team. Terry Rozier, I'm using everyone else to score except Kyrie. And then when the fourth quarter comes, all of a sudden I'm taking over with him. And that really works well because that's the versatility that I talk about with so many teams, how you want to have a different play style. I believe that was in my 2K tips video. It's just about not playing the same way all game. And so if I'm just isoing with Kyrie Irving all game, as tempting as that may be, that's going to become easy to stop because he's going to learn which way I like to go. He's going to learn who he can bring out on him to defend him. I'm gonna be stopped eventually. But if I wait until around the third or fourth quarter to really start doing work, now I've introduced a new play style. And there's nothing he can do about it because Steph Curry cannot stay in front of Kyrie. So he's going to bring help. There's going to be other players open. It's just a really beautiful thing that they have so many ways to play, and that's another reason they match up so well with this Golden State team. Now, I am obligated to mention imagine that once 2K19 releases and a few months after that when DeMarcus Cousins actually becomes a part of the Warriors lineup, everything I'm talking about is probably not going to work that well anymore. Cousins is a shooting big man, and even if he's not the second best center or the first best center in the NBA anymore, he's going to be able to spread the floor even more for the Warriors. So previously where you had JaVale McGee and you didn't have to worry about picking pops, now you have to worry about that kind of thing between Curry and Cousins. From a versatility standpoint, the Celtics will still be the best matchup for the Warriors in the game in my opinion, but as far as actually beating them once Cousins gets there, I don't know. I'm pulling it off now. I think I've only lost to the Warriors about once or twice, and I've played against them so many times this year. But yeah, once Cousins is thrown into this, that throws a wrench into the whole thing, and we'll see when we get there. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, comment, and sub, and make sure to go follow my Twitch because these days a lot of 2K knowledge that I'm kicking is coming straight from the live games. I've gotten really comfortable playing live, and a lot of what I'm doing is talking about basketball and the NBA in general, but I'm also pointing out a lot of strategy the same way I do in these videos, so if that's something you're interested in, the link is going to be in the description and in the comment section as well. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.